Hello, and thank you for tuning into this week's Mayor's Update. As always, we have a lot of important information to share with you this week, so please feel free to share this video with your friends, family, relatives, and anyone else you think might find this information helpful over the course of the coming week. Now, we did have a break from our weekly Mayor's Updates last week because we had our every 2-year city inauguration last week, and the inaugural address as part of that video served as last week's update. So if you have any interest in watching that, it is still available on the city's YouTube channel. And I do want to thank Matt, Andy, and Tim from GETV for getting all of that together very quickly and getting that out to the public so that that could be seen. And I want to thank everyone else who took part in that very special inauguration ceremony: Colin Smith and Rachel Roberts from my staff, all of the other city department heads, particularly Roland Jean in our building department, our 2 custodial staff members, and everyone else. It was really a team effort. The flowers we got to borrow from Last Minute Gifts and Flowers that were up on the stage. The University of Massachusetts Minuteman Marching Band performed, as well as the Gardner Middle School Bobcat Chorus, the Gardner High School Cheerleaders. We were joined by Judge Mark Goldstein from the Gardner-Winchendon District Court and Justice Serge Georges from the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court, who administered the oaths of office that day. Governor Baker was our keynote speaker. It really was a great time to celebrate who we are as a community and what we'll be able to accomplish in the next 2 years together. So I just can't say thank you enough for everyone who participated in that. I also want to give a very special thank you to my cousin Wanda, who performed with us on the bagpipes to help lead in the colors from the Boy Scouts of Troops 9 and Troop 49. So thank you very much to those groups as well. Right before that happened, we had a vaccine clinic for our students over at Gardner Middle School. And this was the same group of students that a couple weeks ago were greeted at the vaccine clinic by a couple protesters. This time, they were greeted at the vaccine clinic by Governor Baker, Lieutenant Governor Polito, Congresswoman Lori Trahan, myself, Senators John Cronin and Ann Goby, and Representative John Zlotnick. So thank you very much to those elected officials for coming to help try to give these students a more pleasant experience at the vaccine clinic than they had to get their first dose. I also want to say thank you very much to Haywood Hospital for getting certain play therapy dogs out there for the students too, that if they were feeling a little sad or still were getting over the pinch from the shot, they had some fun with playing with the dogs there. And that was all put on by Becky McCaffrey, our school nurse leader, and Lisa Ellis from the Community Health Connections here in Gardner. So thank you very much for everyone from that team for putting that on and making that such a success and a better experience than what our students had 4 weeks prior. Haywood Hospital has asked us to talk a little bit about the COVID-19 pandemic here in the city of Gardner. They do currently have well over 25 patients admitted to the hospital positive in COVID-19. The intensive care unit is full, and in fact, they've started to, for the first time, double up on beds in the intensive care unit because of how many people are requiring those services. The other day, they had 13 beds in the hallways of the emergency room because of how many people were visiting the emergency room that required services there, more than room that they had available. We've never seen a situation in which we had 13 beds in a hallway, let alone a full ICU with doubled up beds. And it's really getting to become an issue here. We're also seeing a very big strain on the amount of testing that has to be done here in the city. Right now at urgent care, there's a minimum 3-hour wait to get an appointment at the Damon building, which is the Haywood Hospital Testing Center. It's a little over a week waiting period. And even still, the amount of people who are calling for a test has been such a large amount that Haywood Hospital's phone system crashed 3 times in the past week. This is something that the city is working on, trying to see if there's any way that we can assist in alleviating. Working with Representative Zlotnick's office, the city and the state were able to purchase 1,000 rapid test kits that have been given out to the different primary care physicians that are based in Gardner to try to see if we can help lighten up the testing load that way. My office has also reached out to several of the surrounding towns to see if Gardner, along with 13 smaller surrounding towns, can host a regional rapid test distribution day. The details for that are still being finalized. However, if we're going to help Haywood Hospital alleviate the massive amounts of pressure that's being put on them in the testing side of things, with close to 215 tests being given a day, we have to do something here on the city side. So we really are trying to see if we can help be the leader in the region to help get that out there, to help alleviate the burden that's there, to lighten up what the hospital is able to offer to our residents in this area, so that if a resident in the area needs medical attention, they can get that medical attention. This is something that we didn't even see at the beginning of the pandemic back in March 2020, but we're seeing it now, and we're doing everything we can to try to fight that here. So keep an eye out for information on a potential rapid test distribution day. And if you need a test now, first contact your primary care physician, as they now do have access to several tests. And if not, then contact Haywood to make an appointment there. Do not go to the emergency room if you simply just need a COVID test. We've seen an uptake of well over 100 people think that they would be able to get a quicker COVID test if they showed up to the emergency room. That's not the case, because you are still triaged when you enter the emergency room to see who is there more deserving of medical treatment or not. And if someone's in cardiac arrest and you need a COVID test, the person in cardiac arrest is gonna go in before you are, and it's gonna be a several-hour wait. We've also had to have a police presence on some occasions at the hospital where someone who did that type of work and tried to see if they could get into the emergency room quicker threw a fit because they weren't taken before someone else and all they wanted was a COVID test. Someone also went to the Damon building at the testing site and refused to leave the building unless they were tested, and they didn't have an appointment because they didn't want to wait too long on the phone. So these are things that we're telling people just is not acceptable behavior, and we're trying to alleviate it on our end, but we're asking for your help as well in being reasonable, being patient, and recognizing that this isn't something that we even saw at the height of the pandemic, because so many people are becoming exposed and trying to find ways to deal with that situation. So when we do have our regional distribution day, please do take advantage of that and don't put an extra burden on our hospital staff who's already stretched as thin as they can be. The fire department this past week received a $11,000 grant from the state to purchase new portions of their breathing apparatus. If you may remember, last year during one of these mayor's updates, we talked about the federal government purchasing new air tanks and backpacks for the fire department for those usage. This grant is purchasing new valves that connect those air tanks to the face masks of the firefighters when they go in. We had new face masks, we had new air tanks, but we didn't have the connection between the two of them, and those were still almost a decade old. So this will allow us to get new updated equipment that way. So thank you very much to the Baker-Polito administration for your assistance on that. I also did announce during my inaugural address that we did receive a grant from the Stanton Foundation to purchase a new police dog for the Gardner Police Department. We don't have a set date on when that'll take effect yet, because we are still ironing out some of the policies and seeing what that dog will be able to do and how we can expand our services that way. So keep an eye out for more information as that goes on further. But since the Stanton Foundation did make that grant public, we wanted to announce it here on our own as well. A couple people have asked my office and the DPW if there has been dirt thrown on the roads during snowstorms, and we want to assure people that that is not the case. Several people in the city might be used to seeing what's called green salt spread around the city during the wintertime, and it's a more biodegradable, magnesium-based salt that is more friendly to the environment, dissolves quicker, helps spread out the lifespan of the salt that's on the road to try to make sure that the roads don't ice for a longer amount of time. The city has always partnered with the town of Oxford in what's called the Oxford Salt Collaborative, in which over 23 different communities participate in a group purchase of salt for Worcester County. That way the price stays down for our residents, because we are ordering such a massive bulk order of the materials. This year they went with a different contractor who, instead of having salt that is dyed green, is giving us salt that is coated in molasses. So that brown color that you're seeing on the street is actually molasses on top of the salt. We're not throwing sand, we're not throwing dirt on the streets. It's actually the salt, and it's doing its job. The molasses helps the salt stick to the pavement a little longer than wash away with the melting of the snow and the ice. So if you see that, that's all that is there. And as always, thank you very much to our DPW for the work that you continue to do, especially during our snowstorms. Lastly, I just want to end this with letting you know that the cheerleaders of Gardner High School did make it to the national finals in Dallas, Texas, and will be leaving next week to go down to Dallas to perform. Now, 2 years ago, the cheerleaders did make it to nationals then and placed, but I think it's more impressive that they made it now, in that there are no senior students on the cheering squad. It's only freshmen, sophomores, and juniors, and half of them had never cheered before because there was no cheerleading last year due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and then you get a group of freshmen in this year. So to see how far they've been able to come and make it as far as being able to place in nationals is very impressive for a group that young and just new. I was very thankful that they performed at my inauguration, but I'm also very proud of them for being able to make it that far. Now, if you would like to see the cheerleaders perform the routine that they will be doing down in Dallas, so that you can see what's going on. Even though all of us in the city won't be down in Dallas with them, we are doing a very special send-off ceremony for them that'll take place on January 18th at 6 p.m. in City Hall Auditorium. There is a $5 suggested donation at the door to help cover the cost of them traveling to Dallas, but that is not required. And again, they will be able to perform the routine that they'll be doing down in Dallas as they compete. So congratulations to the Lady Cats on that as well. However, that concludes this week's update. Until we speak again, stay warm. It's been quite chilly out there. Please do what you have to keep yourself safe during the COVID-19 pandemic. Don't forget the best practices we learned in the past 2 years. If you do have to stop by urgent care, the testing facility, or Haywood Hospital, remember that the staff is as run out as they are, and please be patient with them and don't take your frustrations out on a staff member who's doing all they can and then some to meet the needs of the pandemic. And I look forward to speaking with you again next week. Thank you very much and have a good day.